As if all the craziness with the ICE raids going on right now wasn't bad enough. As if all the craziness with, Trump summoning the National Guard to peaceful protests that didn't need their intervention and the Marines and all that stuff wasn't bad enough. Something absolutely insane happened today during a press conference with the DHS secretary. The DHS secretary was holding a press conference in Los Angeles today to kind of discuss their assessment of what's been going on with the protests in Los Angeles. And while they were there, it just so happened that the California state senator, one of the California state senators was there and decided, hey, I've been trying to get information about like the National Guard being sent out and about these like ICE raids and all this stuff from the Trump administration for like a week now. And I haven't been able to get any information from them whatsoever. So why don't I, as an elected official that's meant to represent the people of California, why don't I go to this press conference and use it as an opportunity to get the answers to the questions that the Trump administration has been refusing to answer for me? Basically doing his job as a California state senator. And this is what happened when they decided to do that. So here we go.
As our law enforcement officers have been assaulted, they've been pelted with rocks and bricks. Their cars have been set on fire. Molotov cocktails have been used. We have seen people throw bottles and hammers at them. We've also seen that they have been attacked and verbally.
Lady G said, oh, this dumb bitch, she tried to gaslight America on Fox News while the footage proving her wrong was playing. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at that.
Spit on or punched or assaulted, and it's just not acceptable. The Department of Homeland Security and the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city.
They haven't been doing anything. We still don't know exactly where the Marines are. All we know is that it's been reported that they're in a, quote, staging area. And as far as the National Guard, they're just guarding 2 federal buildings. They're not in the streets engaging in any kind of crowd control or anything like that, as Trump would lead you to believe. They're literally just standing around doing a whole fuck ton of nothing and costing taxpayers millions of dollars in the process. It's insane to me how much conservatives and the Trump administration doesn't live in reality, chat. Like, they will just say stuff that's just completely made up, and they'll just lie to your face. You, the American public, they'll just lie to your face. Let's look back for a second, okay? Before the election, leading up to the election, during the debate with Kamala Harris, we have Donald Trump blatantly lying to the American people about Haitian immigrants eating people's cats and dogs, which was not true. That was some bullshit that was proven false like very quickly, and he continued to parrot that lie. We have Trump talking about how schools are transitioning children, giving them sex reassignment surgeries in schools. That just sounds like a load of baloney to me. The fact that like anybody would even believe that. Schools can't afford to, keep their textbooks up to date. You expect me to believe that they're giving children surgeries that cost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 sometimes? Are you fucking insane? And like, people just eat this shit up. And then like now with the protests, we've got them saying, oh yeah, there's violent protests going on in Los Angeles. It's a war zone in the streets. And yeah, well, there are some agitators engaging in unlawful behavior. It's a very small number of agitators. The majority of these protests are peaceful. They're so peaceful, in fact, that when these protests started, the LAPD didn't even feel the need to be present during the protests. There was no need. And yet Trump sent in federal agents anyways to agitate the crowd and escalated it even further by sending in the National Guard when they weren't needed either. Again, let me remind you, they're just standing around doing nothing. The Trump supporter base, like his base of supporters and his administration, literally just make shit up. And like the brainwashed idiots that support this fucking clown just eat it up every time. Like, he could serve them a plate of shit and tell them it was pudding, and they would eat that shit.
Not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country.
I think it's insane that they refer to like lib-ass like fucking Democrats as like socialists. Like, that's fucking... Do they even know what a socialist is? I don't think they do.
And what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters.
So this is the senator right here. This is Senator Alex Padilla, who's a senator for California. He comes in here trying to ask questions he's been trying to get answered all week, and he's been ignored. And they aggressively, by force, remove him from the room and then put him in cuffs in the hallway.
To the politicians in Los Angeles.
Half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your...
I also want to talk about specifically...
I actually want to get back to the part where the incident starts.
Burdensome leadership that this governor...
Listen carefully to the scuffle in the background.
...that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically...
So I don't know if you heard that, chat. Let me play that again. There's something that he says that's very important.
That has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specific.
Hands off, I'm a senator. Okay? Remember that. Okay? Remember that in your head. That's going to be important later. So he identified himself very early on that he's a senator.
To the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
Half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your...
I also want to talk about specific...
I don't know if you guys realize it, chat. Like, this is something that, like, you know, leftists have talked about for a long time. That authoritarianism and fascism is very quickly headed towards this country. And, you know, I was even one of the ones that admittedly I used to think that was, like, very hyperbolic. That when I heard, like, other, like, leftists say this, I'm like, okay, it's a bit dramatic. Like, yeah, there's some tough times headed towards this country if things keep going the way they're going, but I think that's a bit much. No, this is what authoritarianism looks like. This is what a dictatorship, which is what Donald Trump wants to be, looks like. This is what fascism looks like. Like, literally silencing anyone who opposes you. That's what this is. Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, so you say it's already here, tipster. What I'm saying is back when leftists used to say this, like, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, you know, leftists would say this on social media. And, like, at the time, it's just like, oh, you know, like, yeah, you know, there's some shitty things happening. But, like, you're being a little bit too dramatic. That was the mindset a lot of people had at the time. But no, it's here. Like, we're witnessing it in real time.
Many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy, and that we're not going to allow that anymore as well. That those individuals who are purposely endangering our ICE agents and our law enforcement...
They don't even try to hide it. I mean, there's so many instances of them saying, like, the quiet part out loud now. There was a tweet. It's unrelated to this, but since you brought that up, I want to show this tweet too. There was a tweet that I think it was Charlie Kirk tweeted where, like, you know, they used to be like really subtle with a lot of their feelings about things, or they would kind of use dog whistles to convey what they're trying to say. Dog whistles were like the average normie wouldn't understand the context, but anybody who was informed would know what they were talking about. You know, they used to do it with very, very veiled language, right? But now they just outright say exactly what they're thinking. They don't feel the need to try and hide it anymore. And there's a tweet that I made the other day that perfectly conveys what I'm talking about. Can I find this? God, I'm so bad at finding my own tweets. Anytime I have one of these segments where I have to find a tweet on the fly, it's always so difficult to find. I'm going to keep this video playing while I look for it. Here we go.
officers and their families
I might have passed
will be
it.
prosecuted for what they are doing as far as perpetuating violence on them.
Okay. So there's that clip there. There's also another angle of this clip. So I'm going to play that for you guys right now. Here you go.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your...
See, look at that. Was that level of force like necessary at all, chat? None of this is necessary. Let's run it back real quick.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're...
This is a senator doing his job, representing us, the people. He was elected to do this job, and he's doing that job. And look at how they're treating him. Because he is a detractor of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's administration, look at how they're treating him. Think about this, okay? If they're willing to treat a senator, an elected official like this, how are they willing to treat you? How are they willing to treat the people that they're deporting right now? This is how they treat a member of government office? How do you think they'll treat you? Right?
rotating on your...
I also wanted to
Hands off!
how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla.
Okay, and then for some reason this video just keeps looping. We're not going to let it loop. But I did find that tweet I was looking for, where I was talking about they say the quiet part out loud. Look at this one. Charlie Kirk tweeting a few days ago, multiculturalism is a failure. I tweeted this what they're saying the quiet part out loud, and y'all wonder why we called them Nazis. In case for some reason you're not quite understanding what this means, multiculturalism is a failure. This is literally openly advocating for an ethno-state. That's what this is. They want to get rid of all the Mexicans. They want to get rid of all, the black people, the, Middle Eastern people. Basically, anyone of a culture that isn't white, they want to get rid of those people and create an ethno-state here. A majority white country. That's what they mean when they say multiculturalism is a failure. They're saying the quiet part out loud, chat. And I want to show another angle of this incident with Senator Alex Padilla. And I specifically want to highlight it from this tweet here, because this tweet is very concerning. This isn't just, Trump and his administration engaging in this bad behavior. His brainwashed followers are in favor of this. His brainwashed supporters are the kind of people who will go on and on and on about how important free speech is, but it's only important for people who agree with them. Anytime it's somebody who doesn't agree with them, suddenly free speech isn't all that important anymore. This person, MAGA Voice, tweets breaking. Democrat U.S. Senator Alex Padilla was just thrown on the ground and handcuffed. Democrats are no longer above the law. I voted for this. The motherfuckers who go on and on about free speech, right? And how important free speech is, they're openly stating that they voted for the censorship of people who disagree with them. They don't give a fuck about free speech. They never gave a fuck about free speech. This is bullshit. But anyway, let's take a look at this other camera angle here. This one's worse than the other ones. There we go. So this is when they've moved him out of that room by force. And this is when they got him into the hallway, what the rest of that incident looked like.
Hands behind your back.
Look at how this is how they treat a U.S. senator.
If you let my hands go and stand behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand.
And again, I have to ask the question, chat. If they're willing to treat, somebody who was elected to serve in office like this, how would they treat you? How would they treat the people they're deporting? How are they treating the families of the people that they're deporting? This is authoritarianism. This is fascism. This is what it looks like, chat.
Flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording loud out here.
I do.
This is wrong on so many levels. This is beyond fucked. This country is in a very dire state as long as Donald Trump is in office.
No, there's no recording allowed out here per FBI, right?
Okay, so there's that clip there. So, as a follow-up to this, we have a press statement that was given by Senator Padilla, where they speak out about what happened to them. So we're going to take a look at that. Here we go.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Never put your hand on me.
Good afternoon, everybody. Senator Alex Padilla. You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries.
So that's why he went there. That's why he went to that press conference in the first place. They have been requesting information about the current, mass deportations and the current immigration actions that are taking place, and they've gotten little to no answers to their questions. So he went there to ask those questions in person, and they basically removed him from the room by force.
And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a...
This is America. This is what America supposedly wants. I wonder what Jon Stewart will say about this week's events. I was going to watch a recent segment by Jon Stewart on stream today. But because I might be cutting streams short, we probably won't have time for that. But on the next stream, maybe we'll take a look at that. But I do have something like that queued up.
Question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask.
Yeah, I heard about that, Zubat. Tipster, Trump is also regretting his mass deportations now. Yeah, because, there's people who are in the voter base and supporters of Trump who are being personally affected by a lot of these mass deportations. We have people who are business owners who are losing employees to these mass deportations, and they're like, hey, I hired these people legally. I went through your system. I forget the name of the system right now, but there's a system that employers can use to verify the immigration status of a potential employee. And so these employers are going through this process, and they're hiring these people, and the system's showing, hey, they're legal immigrants. They're legally here, whether it's through a visa, like a work visa or something like that, or whether they've got a green card or whatever the case may be, right? These people are legally here. You're free to legally hire them, and they're doing that, and these people are getting deported anyway. So these employers are like, hey, what's going on? I hired these people legally, and they're getting deported now. What's going on? And they're being informed by ICE agents that, this, system that you guys use to verify the legitimacy of somebody's immigration status, yeah, that system is broken, so you're basically just fucked. And it's like, what? So now you have people in Trump's own voter base saying, hey, I supported what you said you were going to do as far as immigration, but now it's affecting my bottom line. So what the fuck? Something's wrong here. And yeah, he's kind of been posting on Truth Social that changes to the system are coming soon. Jesus. Let's be honest though, a lot of it, aside from that, a lot of it has to come down to pressure that he's probably getting in regards to a lot of the backlash with the way things have been going.
A question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community.
I mean, that's the scariest thing, right? Because these people are getting deported en masse. They're being, ripped apart from their families. So many of these people, like, they don't even know where their family members are when they get taken away. Some of these people have been deported to countries that they're not even from. Let's just say, for example, that an immigrant comes from Mexico, right? And they get deported and they get sent to El Salvador or like some like place that they're not even from. And they're just like, what? Why? Where's my loved one at? These families don't even fucking know. Like, it's sad what is happening here and that this is allowed to take place.
And throughout California.
And again, we've got instances of people who are legally here being deported. We've got instances of people who are going through the legal process to obtain citizenship getting deported. We've got these ICE agents showing up at people's schools to deport people, showing up at people's jobs to deport people. The whole situation is just fucked up and really sad.
And throughout the country, we will hold this administration accountable. And we'll have more to say. They've
thrown this whole country into chaos. Like, let me remind you, chat. This is not even a full year into Trump's current term, and he's already thrown our country into complete and utter fucking chaos. We still have 3.5 more years to go. We have to put up with this shit for 3.5 more fucking years. This is unbelievable.
More to say in the coming days. Let me say just briefly in Spanish as well. Soy el senador Alex Padilla.
So I'm going to skip this.
And put on the floor and put in handcuffs. But as he just clarified in his English remarks, which he made, he's now repeating them in Spanish. He said, I was not arrested. I was not detained. He then added, if this is how the administration, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they are doing to. And then he went on to list different kinds of immigrants at Latino communities. He said farm workers.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap that part up here. Now, we have a statement from Kristi Noem, the secretary of the DHS, the one who was giving that speech at that press conference when he was removed. This is what she had to say. After he interrupted our press conference with law enforcement, I met with Senator Padilla for 15 minutes. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers and we will continue to talk. That is the way it should be in this country. I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning rather than creating a scene. Oh, come on. Come on. Like, I'm sorry, but people don't just want you lying to the American people and getting away with it. Like, he was calling you on your bullshit. He was asking you questions that you guys have refused to answer for him up to this point. He was doing his duty as a senator. Fuck you. But let's take a look at this clip.
What I would say is we were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring peace to the city of Los Angeles. And this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. So as soon as he identified himself, appropriate action.
Okay, let me replay that again real quick. It'll let me run it back. Here we go. Oh my god. Twitter's video player is the worst. If you try to rewind or anything, it just completely fucks up. Hold on, chat.
Of creating a scene like that. What I would say is we were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring peace to the city of Los Angeles. And this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself.
Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. We literally saw it in the original. Can I bring up that original clip again? Let me bring up that original clip again. Fucking bullshit. He identified himself very early on in that confrontation. Where's that clip? Is it? I think it's this. No. Oh, which clip is it? I think it's this one. Hold on, chat. Let me see. I think it's this one.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla.
No, not this one. I mean, you can hear him saying it in that one, but I want to get the one where it's from the start. I think it's this one here. 1 second, chat.
As our law enforcement officers have been assaulted, they've been that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country and what they have tried to insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the...
You literally hear him stating that he's a senator very early on.
To insert into this city. So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically...
Right there, I'm a senator. What a fucking Weasley little liar she is.
And elevating his voice and was stopped, did not identify himself,
liar.
And was removed from the room. So
fucking
as soon as he
liar.
Identified himself, appropriate actions were taken. But I would say that,
once he identified himself, appropriate actions were taken. This is appropriate actions? This is what... Okay, right about here is, at least in the clip we saw, where he identifies himself as a senator. So she says appropriate actions were taken as soon as he identified himself as a senator. This is appropriate actions?
Did not identify himself and was removed from the room. So as soon as he identified himself...
Fucking liar. It's insane to me how much the Trump administration can just fucking lie to everybody's faces. And these stupid MAGA idiots will just buy it every fucking time. It's so infuriating.
Appropriate actions were taken, but I would say that, I had a conversation with the senator after this. We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked.
After you let him get slammed into the floor in the hallway and handcuffed, like he's like some fucking criminal? Really?
About the fact that nobody knew who he was. He didn't say who he was, that until he was already had been lunging forward and people were trying to detain him for quite a period of time. And that this, we're leaders, we're public servants. And if he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation.
He already has said that he's been trying to get information for you guys for months and you haven't fucking responded. So he did the next best thing. He saw that you were holding a press conference in person, right in his, he just happened to be in the building, so he fucking, went to ask you directly. What?
Conversation.
Oh, I'll have a conversation with him anytime, except you didn't, up to this point.
With him, that coming into a press conference like this is political theater. It's wrong and it does a disservice to this country and the people who live here. So we sat down, had a conversation. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers. We'll continue to talk and share information. And I think that's the way it should be in this country. I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning instead of...
I don't want any comments from you about how things should be in this country, because look at the fucking chaos you and your fucking handler have caused in this country.
Creating a scene like this.
Jesus. What a fucking liar. So yeah, chat, I want you to come away from this segment thinking about that. If they're willing to treat a sitting senator, like an elected government official like this, how are they willing to treat you? Donald Trump wants to be a dictator so fucking bad. And he wants to just silence anybody who opposes him. And this is what that looks like. It's unfucking believable, the timeline that we exist in right now.